Hi, my name is Sarah Imes, and I'm a draper in the Brooklyn College costume shop. And I'm here today to show you how I draped Hermione's big yellow pregnancy dress for Winter's Tale, which happened earlier this spring at Brooklyn College. Just to give you a little background information of what a draper does, I take inexpensive fabric and I create a shape on a dress form out of the inexpensive fabric, because this way I can make corrections on the dress form. Like, let's say I want a different neck, I want different sleeves, I want to have a giant cutout, some details like this. So I create the shape on a dress form, and then I take the dress form apart, the shape apart, and I draw this on a piece of paper. And then I can use this paper pattern on the good fabric because I've already figured out what the shapes are. And then I can proceed to make the final costume using the pattern that I created from this dress form. In the costume shop, we have different mannequins that I use to create my costume shapes. We have standard male and female mannequins, which you can see on the left of the screen. I also call them dress forms, and sometimes when you're in a hurry you just call them dummies, but they're either dress forms or mannequins. Let's see, and then in the middle here is a hanging dress form, and that I use if I need to work with pants or like a jumpsuit because there's legs, but they're cumbersome, and so most people prefer to work with the standard dress forms. And then here on the right is the half mannequin, and you can see how tiny it is because it's on a table, so it's half the size of a regular dress form. And the smaller, because it's so small, I can drape a lot quicker on it, and I also only need half the material, so it ends up being faster and cheaper. So for this video I'm going to be using a half mannequin. So you may be wondering, why is this dress form so small? Doesn't look like it's going to fit a human. So this is a specific dress form that is half scale. So it is literally 1/2 the size of a size 12 person circa 1963. In this day and age, a size 12, this would be like a size 8 because people just were skinnier back in 1963. But so, for example, the neck to waist measurement on a standard human is 15. So the neck to waist measurement on this small mannequin is 7 1/4. So you see that's half. 7 1/4 is half of 14. Similarly, this mannequin's bust measurement is 18. So that means our actress has a 36-inch bust, so this is exactly 1/2 of her bust. Similarly, this mannequin has a 13.5-inch waist, and our actress has a 27-inch waist. So again, it's exactly half of the actress's proportions. So because we are doing distance learning, I'm going to show you how I draped Hermione's dress on a half scale. And when I've created the pattern, this little tiny pattern for the small mannequin, I can basically put this on the Xerox machine and enlarge it by 200% because it's exactly 50% the size of the actual pattern. So before starting any kind of draping, the most important thing is to look at the costume sketch that the designer has created for the costume. There will inevitably be a lot of questions that I will have for the designer. And so before anything else can proceed, it's best to look at the sketch with the designer and have a discussion about the costume. So this is the sketch for Hermione's court dress in Winter's Tale. As you may have already learned in your class, a costume sketch has to do a lot of things. It has to sell the design dream, the creation of the costume designer. She has to sell it to the director, is this the right vision for the show? Then she has to sell it to the actor. Are they going to be able to perform in this costume? You know, they got to wave their arms around or they got to walk backwards. Then she has to sell it to the producers. Those are the people who bankroll the whole show, so they've got to be on board with it. And then finally, they have to show the costume sketch to the shop, so that the shop needs to know what's going to be done. In this case, the designer wanted to show the timelessness of when the play is taking place, and also the wealth and richness of Cecilia. And she had developed a color palette that involved a lot of golds. And so this being the queen of the court, she was the essence of the richness and color that Cecilia was. And additionally, she wanted Queen Hermione to be the most beautiful woman in the room, the star in the court. And so I think she achieved that very well with her concept worked out very well. But wait, there are so many other questions that haven't been answered by the discussion I had with the costume designer about the sketch. For example, what is your research? What is the shape like? What does the back look like? So the draper always asks the costume designer to provide a back view of the costume as well as some photo research of the texture that they like, or the way something moves, or just the weight of the fabric. And as you can see here, the fabric in this sketch is very, very swishy. Could be lightweight, but it has a lot of movement to it. It's not a stiff dress at all. So these are more questions that need to be answered before I can start draping, because I don't know what kind of fabric I'm going to use to create this. I think it's going to be something slinky in order to get this elegant shape. So here's the back view that I requested from the designer. It answers a lot of questions that I had. For example, this dress is a quick change, so I had to put a big fat zipper up the back of the dress. And the designer made sure to incorporate a good back design. It has to be cut high up on the back, so it doesn't swoop down. It's pretty high, because underneath this dress, where she has a quick change, she's wearing a negligee, and so we had to follow the shape of the negligee so that it wouldn't peek out from under the dress. And the sleeves look a bit vague still here. I can't really tell what she has in mind, but I'll figure out something when I drape them. I think maybe they should also be a bit longer. I'm not sure, but I'll figure that out once I start draping on the form. So here you see the research image again. The designer is using many details from this photo, but she's also using different sleeves, and the neckline that the designer has chosen isn't quite as sexy as this one is, which kind of makes sense. If you're, you know, a queen, you want to have a bit more of an appropriate neckline. The photo also has more details on these side panels, the dress side panels right here, which I think adds a lot of interest to the dress. And in the costume sketch, those side panels are pretty vague. So this research helps me figure out what is going on with that dress detail. And in addition to the interest that it adds to the dress, I think construction-wise, it's going to help me control some of the drapiness on the front of the pregnancy belly, because I don't want all those folds to shift, and so I think I can engineer something clever using those panels. So I'd like to show you the difference that the choice of fabric can make when draping a costume, a mock-up. For example, I have two pieces right here. One is very stiff and one is more drapey. So I'm going to take the stiff piece of muslin and I'm just going to fold it real quick and stick it on one side of the dress form. And you can see how stiff it is, right? It's like really sticking out. And so that's not really the shape of Hermione's pregnancy dress. So here I have a sample of a more drapey fabric. Put it this way. And you can see how much nicer that drapes, how more elegant it is. So I'm going to be going with the drapey fabric like this, so that my shape isn't going to be all stiff and sticky-outy like that. So I have my research, I have my sketch, I have my mannequin, and I know what kind of fabric I'm going to use to drape it, right? So I'm ready to go, right? No! Oh my God, I forgot! She's not pregnant. Our actress is not pregnant, but the shape has to be pregnant for me to drape the dress on. So I have miniature padding that's going to work on this mannequin. So she's getting pregnancy boobs. And I'm just pinning these on. They don't need a lot of pins. They don't need to be stitched on or anything for this case. And then here's her pregnancy tummy. And I don't know, I'll give you a close-up of that, but this is the real-life pregnancy clothes that the actress wears underneath the costume. So now that I have the dummy padded out, you see, very pregnant, now I'm ready to proceed.